I was going over my poems for today, and I realized that there's a lot of nostalgia here, threaded with lots of color. So I hope that the two play nicely together for you this afternoon. California poppies. Poppies flame, poppies gold, poppies scarlet, oxblood, umber, hillside poppies, dry lake poppies, barbed wire, split rail, fault line poppies, rock face poppies, sagebrush poppies, salt air, beach grass, sea cliff poppies, coral, copper, canary poppies, oil pump, dirt road, gravel pit poppies, soft shoulder, phone pole, milepost poppies, median, culvert, freeway poppies, poppies of train tracks, poppies of sidewalk cracks, palm tree, bougainvillea, jacaranda poppies, sulfur poppies, topaz poppies, boulevard, stucco, pool deck poppies, hopscotch, foursquare, tetherball poppies, junkyard, roller rink, porch step poppies, cheddar poppies, chocolate poppies, claret, honey, butterscotch poppies, poppies of childhood, untended, unfed. Oh, so late I found you, poppies.
Yeah.
Thank you. As I said, nostalgia, and I'm a child of Southern California, and I couldn't bolt quickly enough when I became of age, but now I'm feeling a little bit warm for the old country. So I guess I'll say I am getting a little on in my life career, and which means I've been forgetting things, losing things, and I guess here's an example. Hidden compartment of my wallet, unsnapped and hinged open, its contents spilled out on the sidewalk near the mailbox for the neighbor to find. She of the daily double dachshund walk, who knocks on my door late in the evening to inquire, "Did you lose something?" How many the answers there are to that question. They cloud my eyes as I survey the implications of her outstretched palm, my scatterbrain arranged there like baubles on velvet. Rumpled emergency contact list, side gate key, half-completed punch card toward free ice cream, and the tight little packet of $20 bills I keep tucked away for those just-in-case moments. Oh, Mother, even back then you could sense where I was headed, forever snugging cash deep in my pocket. Mad money, you called it. Transport yourself, if you will, yourselves, if you will, to the East Coast, to South Carolina, to Charleston, to the harbor, to a special bird that was there at the harbor. Boat-tailed grackle. The boy asks if I can name the bird. What bird? He points at iridescence, pecking the muck. Black, blue, green, purple, poking the slow, lapping slime of the battery rocks. We're leaning on forearms on the harbor wall. Charleston, early season, weather mild and languid. Hospitable. That I didn't spot the bird proves I don't know anything at all. But the boy doesn't see this. Maybe it's the gadget I'm holding, an actual camera with an actual lens. Or could be that the breeze-battered map half-stuffed in my pocket doesn't conjure tourist, but a traveler who's arrived with some loftier purpose. It's all speculation. I have no idea. Out at the fort, unseen across the watery distance, the flag at half-staff whips and snaps. Someone important has died, but we don't know that yet. It's just the two of us and the bird, which in this instant ascends from the rocks to land on a post and show off his colors a few feet from me. He's a bird. He's not showing off anything. The camera's zoom hums out and in, focusing. The shutter clicks. The boy asks again if I can name the bird. I've been experimenting with, intermittently, with a Japanese form called a haibun. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the form, it's comprised of prose section or sections and one or more haiku, which don't necessarily follow the narrative directly of the prose, but there's a relationship that's developed between the two separate elements, and the two together gives the piece an expanded meaning. And I hope that these pieces I read will perhaps, if they're successful, illustrate that. Confections. We knew they were bad for us and gobbled them anyway. Hot tamales, Mike and Ike, good and plenty. Those cavity-causing candy capsules in kid-coaxing colors. We couldn't stop eating them, bending back the box flap to check for sleepers when the rattle of the contents ceased. Cinnamon red set us afire. Rainbow hues jittered with sweetness. But the pink and white ones made us feel the most grown up. Hard, chalky shell, coating a chewy licorice bite. Such irresistible blackness. How swiftly we learned to hide the evidence on our teeth. Burnt orange bottles, our mothers shaking out the last pills. Cannery Row. He tells me the delicate air of the ocean is really the smell of something dead. All day we skim the shop's timbered entries, swim our faces in the hallucination of floral stalls, hold breath for every fish flipped in air. Beneath a yellow bulb, the scrimshander inks a clipper. Lunch wrappings soaked with oil, raspberry sherbet loudly heaped on sugar cones. Beyond a shell curtain clatter, postcards curling on racks, urchins fused in glass, half-priced t-shirts from last year's bazaar. I turn over a snow globe, etched souvenir from this place of mostly sun. We stroll the pier, water slapping at the pilings. By late afternoon, our shoes know every board that needs to be replaced. Onshore flow. No one can say why the sea stars are melting. She's always saying, I can't make up my mind. Because I can't decide whether to make blueberry waffles or cook ham and eggs for breakfast, I hold off till noon, then head on over to Bonito Burrito, where I contemplate the enchilada grande and the tamales de pollo, before settling on 4 soft carnitas tacos with onions and cilantro on white corn tortillas, and yes, okay, I'll take the side of beans and rice, no cheese, thank you. No, on second thought, hold the rice, double the cheese, and ring me a pajaritos while you're at it. They'll give me a minute to figure out whether I'm in the mood for tamarindo or limon. Signing the papers. Blue pen or black? And she's not here today, but this final one is for in gratitude to Harriet West for 2 reasons. One, because of her generous enthusiasm for my haibun work, and also for the anecdote she told me over afternoon tea, which I promptly stole and put in this haibun. Camp stories. I tell you of the miles of gloaming deer, 500 or more, leaping from the shoulder shrubs in magnificent arcs across the empty highway. How I slowed the car, prayed to survive that terrifying beauty. And you recount the billow clouds of mountain butterflies, the exhausting enormity of their flocking number, opaque carnage of windshield smear, the gold dust sarcophagus of your lone road home. Full buck moon, flicking mosquitoes from our arms. Moving on from the Heidlin, we experienced in our family a few years ago, happily, it's been largely resolved, but we had a medical crisis, as is not, sadly, is familiar for a lot of people. And because a poet writes into the wreck, I've generated some poems from that experience. And the first one is is a prequel, I'll call it. And it's called Holding Harmless. Calamity in the pantry. A cavalcade of ants, and my mother on attack, spray can at hand in her gleaming, griddled 50s turquoise kitchen. Countertop fogged with toxic mist, baseboards peppered with calculated death. Everything's connected, insist these ants, hi-hoing across the generations, hell-bent on raiding the sugar sack. And the pantry's where I find you, my sweet darling, of long-ago strawberry fields, crop dusters swooping to jettison their talc, eyes squeezed, breath held, head, face, shoulders back, powdered like actors in a bad noir film. My darling with a tumor you don't yet know is advancing in your skull. My darling donning gloves, wringing rags and sponges, double-checking safety labels, aiming to deal justly with these unrelenting guests. (08204) or 08204 for those of you who are a little more fleet of tongue. 08204. It's also the zip code for Cape May, New Jersey. Your candy-colored patient number ascendant on the waiting room screen. The 5 designated digits, just another data blip to kill time with by searching for. This hospital is not the Jersey Shore, or Kansas, or anywhere resembling a storied coastline, or the bland blank of prairie we long to be delivered back into. Every so seemingly random often, the numbers flash, reincarnate, like a dead hour test pattern on late night TV. Purple flicks to yellow, yellow, blue, the anonymous flotilla blinking off, blinking back on. Lifelines of zip codes shift position, reel out of numerical order, as patient status toggles from pre-op to procedure to recovery. Not rapture, exactly, but a steady scroll upward, like souls in slow, reluctant rise toward redemption. This was obviously pre-COVID, when you could actually be in the hospital for any length of time with your patient. And our term in the hospital was 23 days. And in my early days of walking the halls, I would see these wheelchairs, which were not the wheelchairs of my youth, which were aluminum poles with a leather sling seat. These chairs were bright blue and made of plastic, like what you'd see on a playground or a child's toy box. And they had yellow caps on them, or at least so I remember, and on the wheels. And they just felt fairly absurd in this context, in this sterile context. But then I came to realize that one of those very chairs would be the ones that took us out the exit and out of that place and into the future. And so the chairs for me came to represent hope. And so I looked for those chairs and I sought them out. And every time I saw one, I just, yes, chair. So this is my homage for those blue wheelchairs. And it's titled Blue Chair. Come, blue chair. Come like a dream, a month's second moon, water-wrapped planet, September's stone, cornflowers and summertime berries, and sky the way we were promised it would always be. Come, blue chair. Who cares what you're made of or what it is you really are? 4 rickety wheels or rusty running blades or the slickest oil to rear and slide away backwards on. Just come, blue chair. You beeless hive, workbench resting hammer, pole hoisted flag waiting for wind. Blue chair, come. Quit your stasis. Come wrapped in your blue like the legendary ox, shoes of suede, a bird of unmitigated happiness. Come, blue chair, come get us the holy hell out of here. And moving on, another series that I'm kind of reading in series. It may seem as a tick of constructing a reading, but actually that's the way I tend to write. I think it's a collagist in me. I write in series and like pieces, and then I kind of rearrange them and put them together and see how they fit with one another. And one of the series I have is involves items that say a meal or a dinner service, and I think flatware, think salt and pepper shakers, think napkins, think sideboards, think Lazy Susan, whatever you can think of. And this one is, and well, I guess I came to thinking about how these pieces all relate in the context in which they're brought together, but that each individual item also has its own story to tell, or its own perspective, or its own individual way that it's looked at or received. So I was interested in exploring that as much as anything in these poems. And the one I'm going to read first is called Butter Knife, and I am so excited to say that in addition to doing this reading, Jenny Root contacted me recently and said she'd like to do a broadside of this poem. And it's just been a delightful, wonderful collaboration and honor all summer to work on this with you, Jenny, and work on this. Jenny did the work. I just showed up and said, and offered my input, which Jenny generously listened to. And but Jenny did the work, and it's Jenny's broadside, and it's hot off the press, and we have it for you on the table in the back of the books this afternoon. And Jenny brought them today, so I'm really excited to have the reveal today for everyone.
And now the poem.
And the poem is for Jenny, Butter Knife. You've tried, but this knife doesn't cut it. The mustard, to the chase, to the quick, and dried and run, and hasn't this been the story of your life? Fragment and disconnect, lever and blunt blade. At last, at least, you've managed to wrap your hand around it, though you should have known by now not to expect otherwise. The iced resistance, bits and pieces congealing in a pile, always this dull thing you spread yourself thin with. Menu. I'm making the ocean. Menu. Which would you rather order from? The paper one with oil spatters and stains written into the fibers? Or this laminated version, wiped clean of all its messy history before being handed out again? Coffee pot. Strength versus weakness and bitterness, ever the Fairbolton subject. Here we go again, message doppelganged with messenger. Oh, can't we just pour ourselves out for once, allow the blackness to steep unsugared? And my final poem is one that, I guess it's dealer's choice. I have a fondness for this poem for many, many reasons, which I won't go into at this moment, but this is a favorite of mine, and it has a lot of special meaning to me. And so for those of you who've heard me read it and heard me read it again and heard me read it again, thank you for your indulgence in one more time. And the poem is titled Box of Rocks. Halfway beneath a table, lid torn back, $2 scrawled in black marker on the side. These yard sale rocks, heavy as regret. $2, the price of an accumulation. Scumbled with mud, collaged in dry leaf, bits of cobweb, the lost wings of insects. They glint like old loves, rugged stars. They too had lives once, arrived in this unlikely place because someone spotted a moon in them, because a hand reached out and said, "You." Oh, to have been the one chosen, the hurried heartbeat of that. Dimple, curvature, and angle of polish. A palm that curled itself around our shape and in its closing became our shape. To have come through the tumbling, and then this hardness we were shouldered into, the dismal weight of us, lid folded down, the cardboard darkness, our hearts ticking one against another. Thanks again, everyone.